Gonna give it one more minute. And let's see here. Okay, Wendy. Hi, Wendy. Heidi, Michigan. Wendy, oh, Idaho. Wendy, I don't know if you're anywhere near Portneuf. I used to go out there and there was a hospital out there that I used to work with in Idaho, and it was so beautiful. I think it was like Portneuf, Pocatello, that area. I think it was more northern part of Idaho. Carrie, hello from South Carolina. I'm confident I'll be happy again someday and can rebuild a new life that I love. I'm certainly not there yet, 7 months out, but I know I will love life again. Awesome. Pocatello is south. Well, Wendy, I never said I was good at geography. That's funny. I think I live near Cole James. Okay. Well, I won't pretend to know where that's at. Actually, I think you're right about Pocatello because I would fly into Salt Lake City, I think, and drive up from there. So I don't know. I've been to Idaho. I love their potatoes. That's what, and the people. That's what I know about Idaho. Spokane. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah. Washington also is a beautiful state. I haven't got to visit there a whole lot. I've just gone to some very remote parts of Washington, but it's absolutely beautiful. Karen is sitting in front of Quick Trip. Yes, I do know. I live in my car. Yes, it's fine. We do what we got to do. We learn to do that as widows, right? So, okay. All right. As usual, I'm going to start us off with a prayer today, and then we will get started. Just going to make sure all my stuff is on Do Not Disturb. So I am here with you. Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for our time together and just the ability to meet and to talk about this crazy grief journey and what possibilities and potential that you have for us. Please bring to the front of our hearts and our minds the words that you want me to say, the words that people may share in the chat, and the people that might watch this later via the replay. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen. Okay. All right. So if this is your first time joining or you're watching the replay, this is actually day 3 of a 3-day challenge, and it's okay if you haven't seen the first 2 days. This topic is going to be different as we're talking about going from grief to growth, so that's fine. But if you want to learn more about my story and my background and my journey as a widow, then go back to day 1 of the challenge. You can find it on YouTube, and then also the links that I send out. If you're on the email list, then you'll have direct access to that and you can see what my journey has been through widowhood. So today we are going to talk about the growth part. So this is our 3-day challenge of moving from grief to growth. And so today, so the day 1, we focused a lot on grief, on understanding grief more, like the myths, the things that keep us feeling stuck, the things that make us feel that we're going backwards. And day 2, we covered guilt. So understanding what causes us to feel guilty, why we feel guilty. And then I gave you a little taste of what we do in Brave Widow, which is learning how to first identify the thoughts and beliefs that we have and then how to actually start challenging those thoughts and reframing them so that we don't get stuck being held up in guilt and being able to move forward, as we like to say. So as we're thinking about now, kind of this growth part of grief to growth and part of rebuilding our life, um, just a few reminders here that there can be a lot of guilt in wanting to rebuild your life. So you might have guilt from the aspect of Well, I shouldn't want to be happy again because my spouse died. That's wrong. It's wrong that I could laugh. It's wrong that I could enjoy life or even think about enjoying life. Or maybe if I'm dating or I'm interested in that, it's wrong for me to think about that. And so we just, again, that's why we cover guilt on day two. We want to recognize where that's coming from. We want to challenge the thoughts we have around guilt and rebuilding this life. We want to have self-compassion and forgiveness for ourselves about these things. And we also want to watch out for what I call the shoulds. So anytime you have that thought like, oh, I should be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that, or, I was talking with my family and they said I should do this. I was just talking with a widow, one of my coaching clients yesterday, and she was talking about actually someone that she's dating, and he had a lot of ideas for what she should be doing as a widow and where she should be in her journey. And so, one of the things we talked about is like anytime someone says the word should or you think the word should, let that be a little like red flag for you. Not a red flag that it's a bad person, but a red flag that a should is someone else's expectation. So I think I should do this or that. It's because we have that belief that we talked about yesterday in Wendy's situation of, oh, what my family and friends think. So what should I do based on what they think? Well, that's an indicator that that's someone else's expectation. So those are things to just observe and to just go, huh, okay, get a little curious about why we're having those thoughts. If you have been with me for a while, you may have heard me talk about the four, we've called it a few different things, the four stages of widowhood. I like the word season because seasons feel very transitional. And just like right now, we're in a transitional spring. So one day it might be 75 and sunny, and the next day it might be like 40 degrees in wintertime. And that makes us feel like, is it winter? Is it spring? I don't know. We're going back and forth. What's happening here? We're like kind of moving on to the next season, but then we feel like we're getting pulled back. So, to me, that's such a beautiful illustration of what happens on this journey from grief to growth and what happens in these seasons of widowhood. So, if you're familiar with it, just bear with me a little bit. If you are, new to this, I'm just going to take a few seconds to explain it so that makes a little more sense. So, as we think about, we're talking about this journey, we're talking about these seasons of widowhood. Okay, the first place that we start, and I want you to try to identify where you are. And if you're in between, that's okay. The first one is like devastation. I call this survival mode. Most people there have a really difficult time. This isn't where most people find me. Typically, you're living in a lot of overwhelm. Your whole entire world's just been destroyed, right? You are just trying to breathe. You're going through all the red tape, all of the papers to the funeral home and notifying Social Security and notifying the credit card companies and like all of the things. You are just trying to breathe. Then, after a period of time, most widows move into the next season, which is like, I call it desperation, but it's really more like maintenance mode, which is you have your feet underneath you somewhat. So you don't feel like every day you're just trying to breathe, but you also don't like where you are. So you're like, I have this new routine. I am okay, but I hate where I am. I don't like this routine. Is this like, this is it? Is this it? This is the next 50 years of my life? Is this? Those were the things that I thought when I was in the second phase. The third season here, I call exploration, which is like discovery mode. This is where a lot of people get stuck or feel lost or feel like they want a guide. And so we're going to talk about this because this is where the growth part of the journey really plays out. So oftentimes when we lose our spouse, we feel like we don't know who we are. We don't know what we like. We don't know what we want our future to be. Like it all just seems kind of pointless now because our person isn't here anymore. And so we have these big volatile ups and downs where it's like, okay, I'm going to try to put myself out there, not even in dating necessarily, but like I'm going to put myself out there and go to pickleball for the first time, or go to a line dancing class for the first time, or I'm going to try to go to the movies. I haven't been to the movies since my spouse died. I'm going to try that. And we try it, and it feels really weird, and it's awkward, and we're uncomfortable, and maybe we break down sobbing because we used to always go to the movies together, and I tried going by myself and it was too hard, and I just can't do this. And then we feel like we slide backwards, or we're stuck. It also causes us to have these thoughts like, I thought I was doing better. I thought I was doing okay. And now I just feel like I'm back to where I was. That thought is not true. You're not actually going backwards. But that's why this part of the journey is so difficult and so confusing, because you feel that way. Okay, so exploration is all about trying new things. It's all about rebuilding your social circle back up that you most likely have lost. It may be a point where you have done therapy, you have done grief groups, you have processed your grief, but you feel like you're not moving forward. You've kind of reached a cap on processing the past and not really moving forward. The next season here is called Creation. So, in season 3 of Exploration, we get to have a little fun for the first time, it feels like, but also it's scary and awkward and intimidating and all of the things. Creation, we're having lots of fun. And creation is where we're in what I call manifestation mode, which is bringing into life what you want in your life. So, without sounding too like woo woo about things, it's having a clear vision for what you want in your future and working to live that life now. So, if you envision a future where you're traveling, where you're dating, where you're, like I'm building a new house, like whatever it is that you envision for your future, that you finally have a vision you're excited about, that you're working towards those goals, you're doing the things now that you want to do in the future. And so you're pulling that future forward to you. It's a really wonderful place to be. And so, as you're thinking about these different seasons, the reason I outline them this way is because I want to give hope to the people that are in seasons 1 and 2 that a better season is coming and can be available to you. And just to kind of outline this whole process of grief, because to me, that was one of the most confusing things was I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have a plan. Like, what is this journey? Where am I going? What's going to happen? And so I try to share these seasons so that people can know, okay, here's where I'm at. Here are the steps of what I need to do to move forward. I recently did a podcast on this as well that kind of outlines high level the steps you focus on. And then here's how I'm going to get to that next season. All right, Karen says, I'm in the rebuilding phase. Emily and grief recovery have been huge in helping me rebuild. No one else has offered the assistance I've needed and experienced nearly 4 years of shoulds. Thank you, Karen. Carrie, I love how you outline these seasons. I think I'm in desperation, but moving into exploration discovery mode. Well, Carrie, guess what? That is where most widows find me, is when they're kind of in that desperation, they're kind of in exploration discovery mode, but sometimes they feel a little bit stuck, or it just feels unclear as they're trying to move into that next season. So that's why I put this little person here in between 2 and 3. That's awesome. Wendy said, I'm a combination of 2 and 3 and having samples of 4, which is absolutely amazing. I love that. Okay. So let me go down here. So one of the things that I want to teach you today in this growth part of the journey is how to expand your capacity. And we talk about that quite a bit in the coaching world. So it might feel like expanding capacity. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. It doesn't resonate with me. But I'm going to teach you what it means and teach you how we actually do it. So, in order for us to grow, we have to expand our capacity. So, have you guys ever heard of growing pains? You might have physically experienced growing pains. In leadership, I experienced this a lot where I would be in a situation, maybe managing a team of people, and I was managing one of my first teams was about 30 or so people. And I just remember feeling so overwhelmed. And I was like, oh my gosh, how could I ever have a team more than 30 people? Like, this is, it's too much. I can't do it. It's too hard. There's too many problems. Like, what's wrong with these people? Like, it just felt like so much. And it felt really painful throughout my career in healthcare to keep growing and to keep expanding my capacity and expanding my ability to lead bigger and bigger and bigger teams, where ultimately I led teams of over 4,000 people in over 100 locations across the United States. Now, I couldn't have done that 20 years prior when I was struggling to lead 30 people. I had to expand my capacity, like grow my ability to lead bigger and bigger and bigger teams of people. Now, there are growing pains, and it wasn't always easy, but now to be able to lead a big team of people, that feels much easier to me than even at the time of leading 30 people, it felt. So, in grief and in our journey to growth, we have to expand our capacity. And part of what this is we're expanding our ability to hold a lot of different emotions at the same time. So, as human beings, a lot of times we think we have to, like, the answer is one or two, right? Like, the only option is I miss my person, I loved them, I'm sad they're gone, or I'm building a life that I love now and I'm happy. We can only feel one or two. So if I'm happy now, that must mean I didn't love my person. I moved on. I moved on. I don't care about it anymore. I never get sad. A lot of people talk about this like, I'm afraid people are going to think I'm better now. A lot of people, a lot of my clients talk about that. I don't want people to think I'm better now because I'm not. So I can't laugh too much. I can't look like I'm having a good time. Or people judge me because I went out, I went to a concert and I had fun, and then I went home and bawled my eyes out. Like, what's wrong with me? I'm broken. You're not broken. What we need to do is expand your ability to be able to embrace all of the emotions, the sadness, the joy, the curiosity, the wonder, the anger, all of the things. We embrace it as part of this journey that we navigate together. So, in order to be able to experience growth, to be able to expand your capacity, we have three steps here. So, and we're going to walk through each step. So, the first one is that you have to decide that this is what you're going to do. And it does take the decision of, okay, yes, I'm ready. And I would imagine that all of you here are ready because that's why you're here, is to learn how to grow, to learn how to navigate grief, to learn how to, be able to take steps to move forward. So you have to decide. The second thing is you have to take action. And the third thing is you really want to find slash build a solid community of people around you who are on a similar journey. So if you're with me, type in the chat, what fears or doubts do you have about being able to build a life that you can love again? I'm going to give you a minute or two to think about this. But when you think about, like, is it possible to build a life I love again? What are people going to think about me if I act like I enjoy my life again? What are the fears, the doubts, the thoughts that come up for you when you think about building a life that you love? I'm just going to give everybody a minute here. And if you are watching via the replay, as many of you have been, then don't just sit back. Like, take this time and really think about it. Like, what thoughts, what fears do you have about when you think about building a life that you love now? Um, building this next chapter. Write it down or really think about what comes up for you. Okay, so, all right, let's see here in the chat. All right, Carrie says, my personality is not as fun and bubbly as before, so I fear I will not be as attractive to men. Okay, that's good to know and interesting, Carrie. Heidi, I will dishonor my husband's memory. I will forget him. Thank you. Okay, interesting. So, what I want you to do right now is just notice that that's a thought or a fear or an insecurity that you have. Wendy says, making mistakes and having confidence in trying new things. I have a lot of fear. And Karen says, how do I emotionally handle setbacks? Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, everybody. Okay, so if we don't have any questions towards the end, I'm going to come back and talk about some of these more. Because I have a lot of thoughts and things I want to share, but I'm going to keep going for now. So, when we think about, and I know this picture is a little pixely, so it's not your screen, it's my picture. I don't know why it did this, but it just did. Okay. I gotta fix it. When we think about expanding our capacity to love more, so this could be loving another person, it could be loving more about our life, it could be um, loving more friends and platonic relationships that we have. I envision like our heart or our life as like a house. And when we expand, we build onto that house, we add on another room. Now, this new room doesn't take away from the rest of the house. Like the rest of the house is still there. We've just added on another room. And so the fact that I added on another room doesn't take away from the house, and the house doesn't take away from this new room. Another way to think about it is, do you guys have children or do you have pets as children? Either one will work. I have four biological children and now a bonus son as well. And so, how I like to think about expanding your capacity for love and for life, this is one of my favorite analogies, is like think about if you have kids or if you're a big pet person, think about the first child that you had when you only had one. Okay. When you have one child, you think, oh man, I love this child with all my heart. Like, I love them so much. They're just amazing. And yeah, I might have a second kid, but I'm going to feel really bad for that second kid because I just love this first one so much. I don't know, like, how I could love that second one. I don't know. It'd be really hard. I can't even imagine it. And you can't imagine it until it actually happens. And then, if you're like most people, when you have that second child, you have just this overwhelming feeling of love and emotions, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I just love this second child so much. I just love him so much." I didn't change how I felt about my first one. I don't love my first child any less. I don't love my second child less than my first one. I don't love him more than my first one. I just like my heart grew like the Grinch. My heart just grew it and it expanded. And so this is what we're talking about when we say we expand our ability to love, to embrace. And so for me, when I had my second child and my third child and my fourth child, every time it just felt like my heart was growing bigger and bigger and bigger. So when we are expanding our capacity, we are embracing, and the word that I want you to embrace is and. So remember, I mentioned earlier that I said a lot of times we want to think in the word or. And really, what we want to embrace is this word and. I can be sad and I can be happy at the same time. I can honor and be grateful for the life that I had and I can be excited about creating a beautiful future. It's okay. I can hold both. My capacity is expanded. I can hold both at the same time. It's not one or the other. I can love having been married to Nathan, and I can love being married to Robert. And I don't look at one of them and go, I love you more. I love you less. Oh, you did this, he did that. Like, I love them both for different reasons in different ways. And so, as you are thinking about your growth and being able to grow your ability to hold all of these big emotions together, I want you to really embrace the word and. Okay. So, expanding our capacity, we have 3 steps. The first one is to decide. I want to expand my capacity. It's very simple, not always easy, but simple. You decide. Okay, yes, I do want to be able to expand my capacity. So once you've decided that that's what you want to do, then here is what I recommend that as you are embracing this new life, new connections with people, new relationships and you're moving into that exploring phase, that you just take very small, gentle steps. You embrace the fact that you're vulnerable, you're figuring it out. You don't always know what it's going to look like. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. And you decide to define and pursue what joy in this next chapter looks like for you on your terms, not on what everyone else thinks, not on what you think you should do or shouldn't do, but what you want for your future. So first we decide, second we take action, okay? So in taking action, this is a combination of trying out new things and also building relationships, rebuilding our social circle back up. So this is typically the season where people are trying to form, our family and friends in many cases have disappeared. And so we're trying to either nurture some of those past relationships and reestablish them, or we're going out, we're meeting new people, we're forming new friendships. Maybe it's new friends in the widow community. Maybe it's new friends in a community of hobbies or interests or values. Either way, it's new relationships that we work on. And so this season of widowhood and this expanding your capacity and growth part of the journey, a lot of times I try to explain it as you are walking on a trail through a forest or through some woods. How many of you guys have ever walked a trail out in the woods or out in a forest where maybe the trail itself wasn't even clear? Put that in the chat for me if you have experienced that. Or if you've ever been afraid, like you went out and you went on a walk and you're like, I don't even know where I am now. Wendy says, my whole circle of friends has changed. Yes, that's a very, very common. So when you're starting this new season, you're starting this exploring season, and you're trying to rebuild your life, there's 2 different analogies that I think of it as. One is you're stepping forward blindly in faith, walking this trail in a forest, and you cannot see around the corner. So see here, we don't know what's around the corner. We don't know, are there monsters? We don't know, are there friends? It's like a Lord of the Rings adventure. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, there's going to be great things, there's going to be horrible things. Like we don't know. We don't know what's on the other side of this forest. And sometimes it's dark and sometimes it's scary and sometimes we hear things that we don't really understand and we don't know what that is. And sometimes it's raining and we're exhausted and sometimes it's hot and we're thirsty and we question, is it worth it? Do I know where I'm going? I just feel so incredibly lost. And so, but we step forward like with this blind faith that if we just keep going forward, just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, that we are going to come to a place in our lives that's so abundant and beautiful and wonderful, we can't even imagine it right now. Like for some people, they want to believe, like I did. I wanted to believe it was possible to love my life again, to not be overshadowed by grief, for grief not to ruin every event I went to with my kids because I would be thinking about how their dad should be there. Like I wanted to believe that, but I didn't know how that was ever going to be possible. But I just kept stepping forward in faith. Like, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there. Like, I'm going to figure this out. And we have to take action. So, remember the first day we talked about how the key to recovery and grief is action, not time. You don't get through the forest by sitting there and waiting for time. You have to take the steps. The other analogy that I like to use as we're on this part of the journey is like learning how to ride a bike for the first time. Do you guys remember has everyone learned how to ride a bike? And do you remember doing that as a child? I remember one time when we were little, my brother and I were out riding bikes out in the neighborhood. And I don't know how long we'd been riding without training wheels. There's really no telling. But my brother and I were like going down this hill, and we went down the hill super fast. And I don't know if he forgot how to brake or just, I don't know. It was like he just went into paralysis mode and did nothing and crashed in a tree and skinned up his knee and got gravel in his knee. And, my dad, who's a veterinarian's like, oh, you don't need to go to the clinic or the hospital. I'm just going to scrape all this gravel out of your knee and patch you up and you'll be fine. But when you're learning to ride a bike, there's all this awkwardness, right? And you're like trying to figure out your balance and you're trying to get into your rhythm. And you even get to a point where you're like, look at me. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. And then you hit a rock and you fall over. Or you're like, oh, I'm going. And you forget how to turn and you hit a tree like my brother did. Or you're going really fast, you hit the brakes a little too hard, and you almost flip yourself over the front of your bike handles. Like, there's all sorts of things that happen when we're learning how to ride a bike. And so, this part of the journey through grief and through widowhood is very similar to learning how to ride a bike. But unfortunately, we don't have that guide that just automatically comes with it, right? We don't have that parent like you see here in this picture that's like, hey, that's okay. You fell off your bike. Come on, get back on. Let's do it again. Oh, that's okay that, you went to the movies and it was really hard for you because you used to do that with your husband. We're going to go to another movie. Let's do it again. It's going to be okay. Let's try this. Let's try going with a friend. Let's try doing this and changing up your approach a little bit. When you're learning how to ride a bike, a lot of times you have a parent, you have a guide, you have someone that's like telling you, like, it's okay, you fell off your bike, just get back on. You're gonna do this. You're gonna figure it out. Like, oh, maybe, instead of doing this, try that. Like change your approach a little bit. Like this is exactly what I do with the widows I work with in Brave Widow and that I work with in the coaching program is like, okay, you are going to the symphony for the first time. You are going to I have a client that she goes to events and she wants to build relationships with people and she's sad at times that people don't invite her and I'm like, you know what, you're going to be the weirdo and you're going to ask that other person to lunch. And so on this day when we meet back next week, I want to know that you invited that person to lunch and I wanted to know what they ended up saying, and she did it. But if I hadn't had encouraged her or pushed her to do that, then she would have gone months and not invited someone to lunch and not tried to start the beginning of that friendship. So what I want you to understand in taking action is that if you feel fearful, if you're afraid, if you feel like you've tried riding the bike and you just keep falling off, like that is somewhat part of the process in getting started in this exploration phase. That is normal. So, in thinking about building relationships with other people, we actually have a whole section in Brave Widow specifically on how to meet people, how to make friends, how to build relationships and have healthy boundaries, how to not people please, like how to communicate, attachment styles, all the things around relationships that you could want to know. But I want to share these with you in case they sounded familiar and resonate. So if you think about like friendships in your social circle, like, oh, I feel lonely. I shouldn't have to always reach out to other people. I shouldn't have to wonder if they want to spend time with me. I mean, who would want to be my friend? I'm the sad, poor widow. Nobody wants to be my friend. I don't really have anything to offer because I just don't have the emotional bandwidth. They're not going to understand. I don't know how to make friends. I don't know what to say. I hate small talk. I'm an introvert. I don't like going anywhere. If any of those sound familiar, and if any of these are holding you back from having a strong social circle, whether it's nurturing relationships with current family and friends or building new ones, then you need to go through go through my course on how to make friends and build relationships so that this doesn't hold you back. Um, as a reminder, as you think about your social circle, not everyone is good at reaching out or checking up or responding or inviting or remembering. And so while we sit back and think, well, why is nobody inviting me? You know, they say they want to go to lunch or they want to go do something. They never ask me. They don't invite me. Like, just not everybody's good at that. I have some friends, most of my friends, if I waited on them to invite me to go somewhere, it would never happen. It's always like, oh, we should do lunch one day. Oh, we should go out together. Oh, you should come and see me. The majority of the time, am the person that has to be like, okay, what about like tomorrow? I'm going to lunch with one of my friends. She just texted me a few days ago, like, hey, we need to go lunch sometime. I'm like, how about Friday? Okay, great. What time? How about this time? Okay, great. Where? Okay. Not everybody is good at that. So, as the widow, if we will take that upon ourselves to do the inviting and to be specific and to put ourselves out there to risk a rejection in friendships or romantic relationships or whatever it is, we can experience success. But if you don't have a guide or you don't have a process or a structure, then it just feels really defeating. Like, nobody cares about me. I don't know. Like, I'm just, who makes new friends at 40? Like, everybody's already got friends. Like, and it can feel so lost, so confusing, and you can feel very lost. All right. So, in expanding our capacity, number one, we decide this is what we're going to do. Number two, we take action. So, we're trying new things to figure out what we don't like, who we are now. We're rebuilding up our social circle and we are finding a community. We're building up our community and our social circle around us. This is the third step. So, what I recommend is you look at current family and friends if there's anyone you want to re-strengthen that relationship because relationships take work. Look at other people who are on your same journey. So if you can find other widows who are also where you are, or they're working on moving forward, they're working on growth, that's a great place to feel seen and heard. I also recommend people that aren't connected to you in any grief aspect. So whether you want to try pickleball or horse riding or dance class or art class, finding other people that have your shared interests and values and who don't know you from the past. Like they're not looking for you to go back to normal. They're not looking for you to go to the past. They only know you for who you are right now. It's great to have a connection with those people. And then, of course, to have a guide to help you navigate this new life. All right, Karen says, my faith in God is what has allowed me to not know what's around the next corner without being completely frozen. This seemingly silly VeggieTales song just popped in my head. God is bigger than the boogeyman. He's bigger than Godzilla or the monsters on TV. My God is bigger than the boogeyman, and he's watching out for you and me. Yes. And people are saying they love that. I love that too. And I grew up on VeggieTales. So if I was a singer, I would sing it for you right now, but I'm sure you will not want to be hearing that at all. So, I just want to encourage you all. Okay, here. Um, I want to encourage you for what is possible as you're moving into exploration and then eventually to creation, where you're bringing some of these things to existence. These are all examples of things that my clients have done, whether it's, gotten remarried, whether it's building up confidence with boundaries, it's making new friends, it's going to a pickleball group, it's having a baby, it's changing up their career totally, it's traveling to new places, it's publishing a book. Like, there's so many amazing things that people are doing that they never even thought that they would want to do before they started figuring out like what this next chapter looks like for them. For me personally, I can tell you I've done all sorts of things. I've traveled to 5 new countries, launched 2 businesses. I have traveled to several different states, and I spoke in October at the National Funeral Directors Association. Just things where I'm like, wow, I just didn't really think I would have done that before I reached this stage. So there's so much potential and opportunity for you. And I share that as a way, not to brag, but as a way to help inspire you for exploring what you might be interested in, what might be in your future. Karen says, I'm so grateful for Brave Widow and those connections I now have with other widows. Thank you for sharing that. Wendy says, I've always loved to travel. I just don't have the courage to go alone. And Wendy, there's all kinds of groups, um, groups of adults, of women, of widows. And also there are a lot of other like widows that like to travel together. So you it would be fairly easy to find someone, I think, that would be happy to travel with you until you build up your confidence to be able to travel alone. If you want to. Some people don't like that. So, I want to share just quickly before I dive into some of the bonuses and things that I'm offering for coaching. So, if you have any questions over what I've covered, just feel free to put that in the chat and I will be happy to answer that. And I'm going to go back and talk about a couple things that people put in the chat earlier. But I want to share with you, this is a real example of a client. Her name is not Sarah. I changed her name for privacy, but I'm okay to share this example of a client that I worked with for 6 months one-on-one coaching. And one of the things that we do in coaching is every week, if we're meeting weekly, every week we go in and update our progress tracking form, which sounds very official. But essentially, when I do a consult call, I ask all widows to rate each of these areas on a scale of 1 to 10. So routine and feeling overwhelmed. And what you're seeing here is this client's progress. So in the beginning, she rated her routine a 4, and at the end of 6 months, she rated it an 8. Her ability, like her sense of moving forward, her sense of direction, of not feeling stuck, she rated at a 2. And after 6 months, it was a 7. Confidence in herself and her ability to make decisions and her ability to do new things, she rated a 3, and we ended at a 9. Purpose, her sense of purpose, her sense of meaning in her life, she started at a 4 and ended at an 8. And then relationships, which could be dating, or it could be family and friends, or it could be boundaries and people pleasing. Like we talk about that in the consult, how we want to define relationships, started at a 5 and ended at an 8. So it's really difficult to track things like confidence, right? So Wendy said, oh, I would love to travel. I just don't have the confidence or the courage to do it alone. I actually just talked earlier today to one of my clients that that was one of her biggest struggles. I think she started at a 2 on confidence and we ended and an 8 or a 9 on confidence with her was building up her confidence to travel. And she has several children. So she wanted to be able to travel with all of her kids and have confidence in being able to do that. So that was a wonderful experience to be able to walk with her together. So for those of you that are here or that you're watching the replay, I just want to invite you to work with me in one-on-one coaching through Brave Widow. And what we do is we evaluate where you are in each of those areas, what specifically you would like to work on, or where you would like to be at the end of that 6 months of working together. And we track that over time so that you have some visibility and some confirmation of not only are you seeing changes that happen in your life, but whoa, here's where I started, and ultimately here's where I ended. Like I just feel so confident. I feel like I know what my purpose is, or I know what I'm working towards, or my relationships with family and friends is so much better. Or I've invited people to do things together for the first time. Like whatever is top of mind for you. One of the things I love about this coaching program is that I help meet people where they are and help provide guidance on their exact next steps to move them through each of those 4 seasons of widowhood. So whether you're in season 1, like I said, most people come in season 2 or 3 or kind of somewhere in the middle. And so I help you know exactly what things to focus on, what next steps to take in order to be able to move forward to that next season. And we work on all of the things, like all of those fears and doubts that you mentioned that hold you back. We work on tackling all of those and getting out of what I call like the negative thought spiral, right? Which is like when we get in that loop of, oh, no one will ever like me. I'm not bubbly. I'm not friendly. No one's going to be attracted to me. I mean, talking even just about dating, I did a whole mastermind just on dating, a whole masterclass series on dating. So I have a ton of really good content around dating because there's so much emotional mind drama that happens to us in dating. So even in thinking for me, things like, well, I mean, gosh, 40 years old, widow, 4 kids. Wow, what a dating resume. That's amazing. Like overweight, like all of my insecurities. Let me just list them all. And those are things that held me back for a long time. And even when I would push through, they were things that I would lower my standards or I would make concessions for people that I shouldn't have, but I just thought I didn't deserve as good of a person as I had in the past. Like somehow now I was emotionally damaged goods or something. So whether you think about that from dating to friendships to going for a job that you wanted to apply for, whatever that is, I help you get out of all of those negative thoughts and things that ultimately are holding you back or um, having you accept lesser results than what you deserve. So, Wendy says, Karen would love to meet you. I'm coming to Wisconsin too. We actually have a few Brave Widows out in Wisconsin. So that would be really cool if you guys got together. Karen says, I heard about something called Adult Choir Camp. And what appeals to me most is the possibility of connecting with other musicians and making new friends. Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be really awesome. One of my clients actually met with her earlier today. She has really gotten into singing and being part of singing groups. So, Karen, I'm still waiting on you to start the Brave Widow band, and now we will have a singer as well who will lead us in our singing. So, okay, so I'm going to jump up in the comments and address some of the things we talked about earlier. Unless you have any questions, go ahead and put those in. And I just want to say on coaching, if you have been considering that, to schedule your consult call, go out to bravewidow.com or just send me a DM, whatever platform you're on, and schedule a one-on-one consult call. There's no pressure. I will walk through rating all those different areas with you, and I will even tell you, like, here are the next steps of what I would work on. And I will walk through how I believe the coaching program would help you move forward and what your future could look like within the next 6 months, which is just October. Like crazy to think in 6 months it's going to be October already. And that's going to be right before all of the big holidays that people tend to struggle with. So I would love to help you be in a really good place to go through that towards the end of the year. So if you schedule your consult before Sunday at midnight, so not that you have to have the call before Sunday, you can schedule it anytime in April. But if you'll go out and schedule your consult call, if you sign up for end up signing up for coaching, then I'm actually going to throw in an additional month free of on-demand coaching support. And I have some special Brave Widow swag that I'm going to send your way, which I don't send out very often, typically only to mastermind clients or one-on-one coaching clients. So I am going to include that. So let me tackle some of these topics. Karen says, I want to start a choir, which was Ben's dream too. Maybe I should start a Brave Widow music camp. Hey, I'm in. Let's go. Okay, so we don't have any questions, but I still have a few minutes. So let me just pick one I can talk about for a little bit. Okay, rebuilding confidence. So that was one of the comments that we had earlier was just like, I'm afraid, I'm not confident, but I want to be able to be confident. And this could be confidence in making decisions. It could be confidence in trying something that's new to you. It could be just a variety of things that are confidence. And since we have Karen here, I'm gonna use music as an example. Okay, so how do we build confidence? I actually have a system inside of Brave Widow called the self-trust system, which is a step-by-step process on rebuilding confidence. But what I will share with you today specifically is that the key to building confidence is, guess what? Action. So let's say that you are learning, Karen plays the organ. So I played the piano. So I'll use a piano as an example. Um, so when I was learning to play the piano for the first time, I was not confident. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never done it before. And I had, I wouldn't want to play in front of a bunch of people. I would have all the thoughts, right? Like, oh, this is going to be bad. Oh, oh gosh, the keys don't even sound right. Is this piano in tune? Is it me? Like, what's happening? Like, when you do something new for the first time, or you're doing something again new as part of this journey, you don't have confidence and you're afraid. But the reason you're afraid is because either maybe it's something that you're learning new, so you're not good at it yet, or it's just something you haven't done before. So, um, the key to building up confidence is not to wait until you have the confidence to do it. It's to just do it while you're afraid. Keep doing it again and again and again and again. And over time, you're going to build your confidence because you've done that so many times. So when I first started podcasting for Brave Widow 2.5 years ago, if you go back and look at some of those very first videos, they were bad. They were not great. I didn't have a nice microphone like I have now. The lighting was not good. The video quality was not good. And I did not have any confidence, right? Like I was just willing to humble myself and acknowledge that it wasn't going to be good in the beginning. It was going to be very intimidating talking to this camera and that I was going to do it anyway. Even though I was afraid and I was worried what people were going to say. And I was even more worried because I was having guests come on the episode. And I was like, oh, these people are going to be like, man, I came on that podcast and the quality was just so bad. It didn't actually happen. But I was just afraid. But I knew And I was grateful at the time. Not many people were watching those videos because I felt like, oh, I'm just glad not a lot of people saw that. But over time, now I get lots of compliments when I'm doing a podcast with someone, or I come to teach a class, or I come to give a speech on a particular topic. People are like, oh, you just talk about it so naturally. I'm like, yeah, because I've done it for 2.5 years. I couldn't do it like that in the beginning. So I'm confident now. I can get on any podcast now. I'm will go public speaking anywhere. I will teach any class. I will coach any widow. But in the beginning of all of those things, I was very afraid. But the only way to build up confidence is just to do it. Just to be afraid, be willing to feel the fear, the pain, the awkwardness, the being uncomfortable, to put yourself out there and to just do it anyway. So I hope that helps on building confidence and what you can do there. And there's always some specific tips that I can share if you're like, oh, I'm going to a conference for the first time, or I'm going to, like, I went to a real estate meeting for the first time. Like, there are ways to do it that feel a little gentler, but ultimately, the way you build confidence is just doing it over and over and over. And then you're like, oh, I've done this a bunch of times. It's no problem. All right, guys. Well, that's our time today. And so I hope you've enjoyed this 3-day challenge. I hope that you have found it valuable and that you're able to walk away with something that you can start implementing today. And I would love to be able to speak with you about one-on-one coaching if you set up a consult call. So Karen says, I could tell lots of stories how I've progressed as an organist and pianist and some of the crazy things I jumped in and did even before I was ready, but the rewards have been great even without Ben's physical presence. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And see, Karen, I just feel like you're not afraid of anything. That's just how funny our brains are sometimes, is we can come across so confident, but there are times that we're scared and we just have to do it anyway. All right. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I look to talking with you soon. Bye.